Howdy, it's Kyle talking about population growth trends in the US. And population growth is something that is very fluid. It's not evenly distributed across the country. Many states are gaining population, many others are losing population. But even within states that are gaining people, many of the counties are losing population. And within all the states that are losing people, many of the counties are gaining population. So in this video, I'm going to take a look at some of these growth trends across some of these states and counties. Right now, the news media is predicting this radical shift in population as people move from one part of the country to another due to the COVID-19 pandemic. They're asserting that people have these jobs, they can just work from home, and so many folks are just going to take this opportunity to leave where they live and go somewhere else. But there are a lot of people moving from one part of the country to another, but it isn't because of the pandemic. This was going on before, and it will continue to go on afterward. But either way, let's take a look at some data. This is the map that I created to highlight the counties that are gaining and losing population in the country, with the ones highlighted in green being the ones that are gaining population. And where I got this data from is right here, the Census Bureau website. It's got the annual estimates for population of the previous decade. So you go onto the website. This is not the Census Bureau, but it shows the counties a little more easily. So this is Texas. It lists the counties in order of population. So you've got Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin, North Dallas suburbs, blah, 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 all the way down here. So you see all of these counties are gaining in population. So these are all highlighted in green. You go farther and farther down, you start to see a few that are red. You get to some of these more medium-sized counties. You see a lot of them are red. And the farther you go down, you're seeing a lot more red. So even a state like Texas that's growing a lot, most of its rural, really small counties are losing population. Another example right here in Nebraska. So you look up here, Douglas, Lancaster, Sarpy, that's Omaha, Lincoln, Omaha suburbs. That's growing a lot. But look at all these other counties. And if you're red, green, colorblind, I apologize. This is hard to see even if you're not red, green, colorblind. But I mean, pretty much all these rural counties in Nebraska are losing population. So you go back to the map, and that's shown. Basically, you can see this right here. Most of these rural counties throughout the entire country are going down in population. So when you first look at this map, you'll probably see, just notice how much gray there is, because these are all counties are losing population. And you also might notice just how much green there is in the west. But don't put too much stock in how green the west is, because the counties are just so huge. So for example, right here, Coconino County, Arizona, which is Flagstaff, if I were to take that off, you can see just how big that one county is. It's bigger than half the New England states. You know, plenty of counties in the west are like that. Nye County, Nevada, there's hardly anybody there, but it takes up that much space. San Bernardino, California, takes up that much space. So don't put too much stock in how much green you're seeing, because it is still mostly open wilderness and open desert, and it's places that people aren't living, but there might be a couple of towns in that county growing a lot to cause the overall county to grow, which takes up a big spot of green on the map. But anyways, I'm going to start with California and then kind of move west across the map to kind of show what's going on. And I'm going to first start right here with these two counties, Santa Clara, San Mateo. So when you hear the term Silicon Valley, these are the two main counties you're thinking of. And 2020 was the first time since, I think, pretty much forever, these two counties have gone down in population. So this goes against what I was saying at the very beginning about people don't really have the kind of jobs you can just pack up and move wherever you want. But this is the one exception. These are internet type jobs, and those are a little more mobile. So you have seen some people leave there, but the difference here is I'm not quite sure about permanent drop in population, because what the data for 2020 showed is that many of the companies in that area let people work from home during 2020. And so say somebody's from, I don't know, Wisconsin, they might have gone back to Wisconsin to work from home for the year, but are they going to come back in 21 or 22? It remains to be seen. I have my doubts this is going to stay gray permanently, but we'll see. When people talked about people leaving California before the pandemic, it was mainly down here. So Los Angeles, Orange, Ventura counties. This is, LA. This is 10 million people in LA County. So people leaving that one county alone would cause the entire state to go down in population, which is what has been going on. The far north up here on the Oregon border and the Nevada border, this is the quote unquote state of Jefferson. These people have trying to break away from California for a long time. It's never going to happen, but they're trying. This area has been economically depressed for a long time. The population's been going down for quite a while. I think there's kind of been some bitterness there because during the 90s and 2000s, there was that big tech boom in the Bay Area and just, all the growth in the other parts of the state, but nothing was happening up here. So I think it's just, again, see some bitterness with some of the folks up there. I'm kind of surprised with the northern coastal counties. They're not super expensive. I'm not sure why those are going down in population. It's beautiful up there, Humboldt, Mendocino. But most of the state, the valley here, you can kind of see the valley coming down here where I'm from, is growing quite a bit. And the central coast is just barely growing. You go up into Oregon and Washington, you see that pretty much every county in both of those states is growing. I'm not sure why southeastern, like this part of Oregon, south central Oregon is growing. These are very similar counties to the ones across the border in California. It's just as expensive to live there, it's just as high tax. So I'm not sure what the difference between those two and what's going on right here. But Washington, again, almost all the counties are growing in population, even some of these really rural mountainous counties in the middle of the state. You can come over to Idaho. Middle Idaho, this is just empty. There's probably 20,000 people in this entire part of the state, so it just takes a few people to move there to have it grow. Ada is Boise. This is where most of the population growth in Idaho is, but the state overall is growing. Nevada, Utah, Arizona are all on fire right now in terms of population, but almost all the growth in Nevada is here. Clark, which is Vegas, and up here, which is Reno, Lake Tahoe. Arizona, you're seeing again, just like other western states, it looks way more green than it indicates that it might people be moving to the middle of nowhere in the desert, but that's not really happening. But they're moving to here, Phoenix, Tucson, this area, Flagstaff up around here. Utah, similar story. The Salt Lake metro area is around here. Lots of people moving there. Great place to live. I love it there. Southeastern Utah is where you have the national parks. It's one of my favorite parks in the entire country. It's gorgeous, but no one's really moving there. You get into the Montana. What you'll see in Montana and Colorado is pretty similar, where you'll see a lot of folks moving to the the prettier parts of the state. So western Montana and middle Colorado is where you have a lot of the high mountains and some of the beautiful national forests and stuff, and people want to maybe get away from the cities and move somewhere that's scenic. But the parts of Montana, like northern and eastern Montana, aren't really growing as much, because in this case going down in population, because it's kind of it's not really pretty so much. It's high plains, a lot of oil and natural gas. And same with Colorado. Eastern Colorado is not the prettiest place in the world. A lot of wheat fields. It's sparsely populated. The middle is where all the 14ers are and all that stuff. And Denver's up around here. Wyoming is a state that it's so lightly populated. Just a few people moving or leaving is going to cause it to go down or up. This is Yellowstone. This area is growing a lot. Grand Teton, Jackson Hole area. This is where most of the people in the state live. Cheyenne and Laramie. You get up into the Dakotas. Western North Dakota is very rural. And this is where there was an oil boom about 10 years ago. And about 10 years ago, all of the counties in western North Dakota would have been green. But it's already starting to slow down. You see some counties are already gray. It's kind of a boom and bust, and it's already boomed. The boom has already peaked, and it's starting to bust in some of these areas as well. But it is still growing for some of these counties. Cass over here is Fargo. That's for the, and then Burley is Bismarck. That's where most of the people live. South Dakota, kind of similar to Montana and Colorado, where the parts that are really growing are these western parts that are very rural. I guess Rapid City isn't rural, but this is the pretty part of the state. This is the Black Hills, the Badlands, very nice scenery. I'm not sure exactly what's driving the growth in northeastern South Dakota. Not quite sure. Most of the people live in the southeastern portion of the state, Sioux Falls and the college towns down there. Nebraska and Kansas are where you start to see what you're going to see pretty much throughout the entire eastern U.S., and that is people leaving these small towns, these small rural farm towns, and moving to the cities. So like I was showing before, almost all of the counties in Nebraska are going down in population. So, I mean, it's all of them, but except here. This is Omaha, this is Lincoln, this is where the folks in the state are moving to. There are more job opportunities there. It's the exact same thing in Kansas. People are leaving all these small towns. These three counties here, that's the Wichita metro area. And these counties here are the Kansas side of the Kansas City metro area. So this is where folks are moving. This is Manhattan and college town stuff. So we come out here into Oklahoma, same type of thing. These rural areas are losing population. This area here is the Oklahoma City metro. This is Tulsa around here. So that's where folks are moving. And then you come into Texas. And Texas is where you start to see It's a huge state, growing a lot, but even in Texas, a lot of the counties in the west are going down in population. So this area here in the west is mostly rural, except for Odessa and Midland. It's pretty much just small little farm towns, but this is where you've had an oil boom. A lot of people are moving there. It's going to be kind of like Western North Dakota. It's a boom and bust. It's booming right now. I think they know it's going to bust in about 10, 15 years, which is why some of the development's been kind of haphazard. Not really expecting it to be as big as it is now in about 10, 15 years. Poor New Mexico. No one likes New Mexico. This is Albuquerque and Santa Fe, the part that people are moving to, and then across the border from Texas, these parts of southeastern New Mexico is where you have part of the oil boom as well. So, again, some growth there. But Texas, this is where it's all growing. This is the eastern half of the state. You got the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is up here. It's about 7 million people. Houston, Galveston Bay area is down here, about 7 million people. And no one's really, I'm calling it the San Antonio Austin Metroplex. That hasn't really been an official term yet, but it's kind of turning out to be just one giant Metroplex. And what you're seeing is what's called the Texas Triangle. These three metros are growing into just one giant megalopolis. There won't be any space between these three metros probably in about 10 years or so, the way things are going. South Texas along the Mexico border is growing quite a bit, especially down here in the Rio Grande Valley. But this area here is very surprising to me. The South Texas coast, it's, subtropical coastline. It's like living in Florida, but without having to live in Florida. So I'm not sure why the population is going down. Seems like a pretty desirable place to live. It might be because the people there are not issuing building permits, so people can't move there. I mean, I understand that, but I'm not sure exactly what is going on right here. You look at the eastern part of Texas, nobody's moving to the part of Texas right along the Louisiana border. So people are trying to stay away from Louisiana. And the state of Louisiana is going down in population, but not New Orleans. New Orleans is going up. So people think about Louisiana losing population. They assume it's New Orleans, but no, it's the northern portion of the state that's much more rural that's going down. Up into Arkansas, similar type thing. Small towns in the south and east are going down. Little Rock in the middle is population growth. But the main growth in the state is this northwestern corner, which is Fayetteville, Springdale, Bentonville, where the Walmart headquarters are. So this is where you've seen quite a bit of growth. That's the shining light for Arkansas right now. Missouri, broken record here. People leaving these small towns. This is Kansas City Metro. This is St. Louis Metro. This is Jefferson City, Columbia. People are moving there. And this is Springfield, Branson down here into some of the Ozarks. So, but the rural areas, the farm areas, are where you're starting to see people leave. And I mean, basically what's going on, and again, Iowa, another one, Des Moines here, Sioux City up here, Cedar Rapids, Iowa City here. I mean, mom and dad have a kid or two. They graduate from high school. He or she doesn't want to work at the gas station in town, so they want to move to Des Moines, Kansas City, Omaha. We're getting away from the farm. We want to go to where the jobs are because there's nothing in this small town. Minnesota is really starting to see a little bit of a bucking of that trend because these counties in northern Minnesota are pretty darn rural. There's not a lot of people up there. It's a beautiful wooded area. I like it up there a lot, but I'm not sure what is driving the growth up there because it's kind of anti what's been going on in most of the rest of the rural Midwest. The Twin Cities down here, Rochester right here. So this is the high-tech medical corridor, and I mentioned this in a bunch of videos. High-tech medical, that's the future. So that's big population growth right there. Coming over into Wisconsin, similar type thing. Northern Wisconsin, which is wooded, rural, not many folks moving there. The population of the state's pretty much in the southeast. This gray county here is Milwaukee, so Milwaukee's going down, but all the suburban counties are going up in population. Madison here is on fire. Michigan, I mentioned in the video recently that all the UP of Michigan is going down. Every county up there is losing population, and the shining light for Michigan is the western half of the lower peninsula. You start to see a lot of growth, a lot of job opportunities, a lot of high-tech medical stuff there as well. These green counties in the southeast are the Detroit suburbs. Wayne here is Detroit itself. That's going down in population, but the rest of the suburbs are going up. Illinois. Oh boy, what's going on here in Illinois? I have no idea. People are leaving everywhere. So it doesn't matter if it's a small town, big city, people are just leaving the state. So here, Cook, DuPage, Lake, that's the main tri-county area for the Chicago metro. Those are all going down. Even these exurban counties, I mean, these counties here, these green ones are not even, I mean, Will is suburbs, but, Kendall, Kane, McHenry, not even McHenry. These are exurbs, and they're not growing that much. It's just Champaign, the college town. So people are just leaving everywhere in Illinois. So it's the one state where, not the one, but one of just a few where even the cities or everything's going down in Illinois. So Indiana, right next door, Indianapolis in the middle of the state, seeing some pretty decent growth. This northeastern corner, you can see the clear state lines of Michigan and Ohio. I'm not sure exactly why that's going on. Allen County right there is Fort Wayne. That's the biggest city in that region. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, why there's a distinct state line with that, but that is what we're seeing. Coming down here into Kentucky, you see 3 different parts of the state. The western part going down, the eastern part is a coal country going down, but the middle is where all the growth has been. So Louisville's around here, Lexington's around here, Cincinnati suburbs, Bowling Green. So those are the parts of the state that are growing, but right in the middle, there's a big difference between eastern and western Kentucky, but both of them are struggling in their own ways. Down here in Tennessee, we live right here, Hamilton, and we live right in the middle of this giant kind of mega cluster of growth in the South. And I think a lot of folks think that the South overall is just growing a lot, but it really isn't. It's just this main, again, this kind of mega cluster of middle eastern Tennessee, northern Georgia, and the western Carolinas where most of the population growth has been, but most of the rest of the South, other than the coastal areas, are not really growing that much. You go over here into Mississippi, the whole state's going down in population. These are the Jackson suburbs. Jackson itself is going down. This, I'm not sure what this is. Oxford, I think. I'm not sure what's up here. This is Starkville, maybe. The Mississippi coast is gaining. It's the cheapest place in the country to own oceanfront property. So one of the few places in the country where middle-class folks can buy something on the beach. I'm not sure if that's still the case right now. It was about 10 years ago, but you do see some growth there. But even in Alabama, Mobile is going down in population. And Alabama overall isn't doing too well. Up here around Huntsville is where you've seen the most economic and job growth, and that's kind of the bright star for Alabama. Florida, I mean, come on, all of it's green. And whenever you see a map like this that shows counties gaining and losing population, if you see gray, like right here, you can pretty much bet that's where a hurricane hit recently, and that's exactly what happened here. Hurricane Michael back in 2018 was just a disgusting Category 5 hurricane. It did tremendous damage to Mexico Beach, really nice little beach town. So population went down a lot. It's still going down, but they're rebuilding, and that's kind of the cycle in Florida. Hurricane hits, people move away, federal government bails them out, people move back, and then 5 years later there'll be a hurricane hit somewhere else, people will move away, federal government bails them out. So Florida's kind of in that cycle of hurricane, bailout, move back, and hurricane hit somewhere else. So right now, most of Florida is gaining, but it is often dependent on tropical weather. Coming up into Georgia, this is pretty much all Metro Atlanta. It's huge how Atlanta's about 15, 16 counties. The coastal area, Savannah, Brunswick growing a lot. This area between the coastal areas of the Carolinas and the bigger cities in the Piedmont is kind of like these rural areas in the Midwest. These are just small towns that were ag and farm oriented, that there are no opportunities there. People are moving to Atlanta, Huntsville, Columbia, Raleigh, Charlotte to get away from the economic issues in the low country that are not along the coast, because people can, these areas are super expensive. Rich people can buy houses along the coast. I mentioned Charleston in videos. It's crazy expensive there now. People just buying up properties. Coming up in the North Carolina, it's something very similar to Texas. You have 3 metro areas, the Raleigh-Durham one here, Charlotte one here, and the Piedmont Triad here, which is Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and High Point. These areas are all growing into one giant megalopolis. Not as big as Texas, but it's still going to be pretty massive. There's almost already no space between these metro areas. There's no space between Greensboro and Durham and Concord, Kannapolis. And, I mean, it's just all connected. I'm kind of surprised with here, the areas that are along the Intercoastal Waterway, just west of the Outer Banks, are still coastal. Very little growth there. I'm not sure if it's kind of like Texas, no building permits being issued, or if it's just maybe too swampy. I'm not sure exactly. I probably should know, but I don't know why these are going down in population. Another big cluster here is your Middle Atlantic area around the capital. So this is DC here, and Northern Virginia is growing a lot. Maryland is growing a lot. Delaware is the only state where all the counties are gaining. I mean, there are only 3 counties, but still. So a lot of, you can see a pretty clear cluster of growth. But Southern and Western Virginia are going down in population. A lot of struggles there. Appalachian coal country. Coming up here into West Virginia, where almost the entire state's going down. You have 7 counties that are gaining, 3 of which are the Eastern Panhandle, which is basically DC suburbs. But yeah, economically depressed here. And then coming up in Ohio, I mentioned a bunch right in the middle. That's Columbus. Columbus is hot right now. Move there now before it gets too expensive. The southwestern portion of the state is Cincinnati. Cleveland, Cuyahoga is going down, but the suburbs are increasing. So Ohio is pretty much right now, it's Columbus, Cincinnati, and that's kind of where it is. But Columbus is doing very, very well and is doing a good job of kind of anchoring the state. Pennsylvania was probably the most surprising state for me when I did this map, because I was like, wow, I was surprised that literally every single county in the southeast, Philly suburbs, all this Rust Belt stuff is gaining population, all of it. This is State College here, center, but just as surprising to me was that all of Metro Pittsburgh pretty much. So you got Allegheny, Westmoreland, Washington, Beaver, these are all going down in population. Only Butler, that's the only suburban county gaining. So I'm not sure exactly what's causing that in Pittsburgh. It was doing really well for a while. Google went big in Pittsburgh, other high-tech stuff, medical stuff, but it's declining. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. New Jersey, the state as a whole is declining in population. Just a few counties in the New York City metro area and one random county, Ocean County along the Jersey Shore, is gaining. And then I'm going to zoom in here because these are obviously very small states. So you see, people talk about New York losing population. They think it's going to be the city, but it's not. I mean, 4 of the 5 boroughs are gaining population. Nassau is. It's just Queens and Suffolk, but all these other areas are gaining, and even Fairfield County, Connecticut. So that's not where the population decline is. It's the upstate. It's Western New York. So this is Saratoga and Schenectady, outside of Albany. And this is the Finger Lakes region. So you see some population growth there, but New York is just one where people are leaving all the areas but New York City. So I'm not sure where they're going, but they're partly to the city, partly to the New England coast. That's another area where you see a good cluster of growth, with Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, these coastal areas all growing quite a bit. Connecticut's going down as a state, with only, again, that one county, Fairfield, going up. Providence is the only county in Rhode Island that's gaining in population. The state is barely growing. New Hampshire is barely growing. Vermont is declining, with just the big city of Burlington being the only area that's really growing. So I'm going to zoom back out here. And then going down to Alaska, the state as a whole is losing population. These areas that are green are very, very lightly populated, but where the people live, Anchorage and Fairbanks are losing population. This area is the part that's not that cold, doesn't get that bad during the winter, so people are moving there. It's not that much different than, I guess you could say, the Seattle or Vancouver type climate, where it's gray and cloudy all winter, but it doesn't get that cold. Hawaii as a state is going down. Most of the counties are gaining population, but the one that's not is Honolulu, the big one. So that's just kind of the trend of what's going on in the U.S. The general trend is that people are leaving small areas. They're moving to big cities. So no matter how many times the media says cities are dying, people are leaving cities, it's just cities are terrible. I mean, this map literally shows it's exactly the opposite. People are getting away from small towns and moving to the cities, because what's happening is that 50, 60 years ago, you could go straight from a high school diploma to a factory, and in a few weeks you could be trained and working in a factory making something really important. But the jobs of today you can't just have 3 weeks of training. You need a few years of college. So in order to get that, companies need to be headquartered in this place where you have a larger pool of talent from which to pull from. So, a factory used to be able to be in a town of 20,000 people. They could find 3,000 people to work there because, again, you just needed to train people to do whatever was going on. But if you're going to have high-tech medical or, artificial intelligence, stuff like that, you can't just be located in a town of 20,000 people. You couldn't find 1,000 people to do that kind of stuff there. So they kind of have to be in big cities. So a lot of folks in these rural counties, they're being left behind because the jobs are going to the cities, and these people have kids, and their kids are moving to the cities. And I think it's kind of like the far north of California here. It's kind of like this bitterness with the cities. Why is everything going on there? Why is all the economics up there? Why is all the growth there? What happened to us? What happened to manufacturing and the little guy? But that's just not the way things are right now, and it's just evidenced by this map. The entire country, this is what's going on. It's cities, suburbs, exurbs. That's where the population growth are. And again, I don't really expect a huge shift in population due to the pandemic. I know the media are going to expect this whole map to flip in color in 2 years because of the pandemic, but that's just not going to happen. People are going to be still moving back into cities. I think we're in a temporary blip right now in terms of growth, or in terms of shifts. And so like that one spot here, the Silicon Valley, I don't expect that to stay that way for too much longer, if not even one more year. But yeah, so you hear people say words like population growth and decline and this and that, but it means so much more when you see it in a map. And that's why maps are just so great. You can see it visually depicted. And it just makes things a little more clearly makes things a little more clear than just having to hear somebody talk about it. And yeah, that's what makes maps so great. Okay, so that went on a lot longer than I thought it would, but hopefully the information was interesting and useful for you. If it was, please give me a thumbs up to let me know you approve, and subscribe to this channel if you're interested in learning more about U.S. geography. I'm comparing and contrasting cities and states in all kinds of different categories, ranking things and all kinds of different stuff, talking about cross-country road shipping, and pretty much everything I talk about comes from a little more nerdy type perspectives. But yeah, thanks for watching. Geography King, signing out.